dos, tres, sí, 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 sí. Un, dos, tres, sí, sí, sí. Un, dos, tres, sí, 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 sí. Un, dos, tres, sí, sí. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today on Chelysmentalwealth, we are going to be focused on rules to fighting fair. Yes. Rules to fighting fair. The reason why I wanted to make a video about this is because when we are suffering with any type of mental disorder or stressors, whether it's depression, anxiety, bipolarism, PTSD, anything that was traumatic could cause you to be more confrontational. You know, like you tend to argue a lot, you tend to debate a lot. It's just you've just built those habits due to yours or your feelings that you've just been used to doing. So this is the reason why I decided to do this. It's also a really great tool for you guys to use with any relationship that you're in, whether it's boyfriend and girlfriend, wife, husband, marital, family, friends, anyone. You can use this technique with anyone that you would like to, as long as you're ready. This technique also only works if both parties are doing it. It gets really difficult if only one person does it, because you feel like, I mean, you're just not gonna get anywhere with it, and you'll see. So let's start, because there's about 14 of them. Okay, there's 14 rules that you need to follow in order for you to fight fair. Okay, because it's okay to debate and disagree, but sometimes we can't even get there because we're so busy fighting. So let's get to it. Okay, all right. Number one, it says never attack your partner when he or she is the most vulnerable. This is kind of like common sense, but a lot of us tend to do this because I think it's a mechanism that we tend to do, where we want to hurt the person where it hurts the most. Like you throw those little jabs, you throw those little low blows, you know where it hurts.
You do it. So
don't do that. Never attack a person. It says partner here, but just a person in general that you're trying to really come across, or really just trying to explain your disagreement or your point, or you know what you're trying to communicate. Number two, listen. Now I know that seems pretty simple. Listen, right? Listen, but a lot of us don't really know how to actually actively listen. Actually, like when you actually learn how to actively listen, you really have to paraphrase what someone's saying. So listen, and by listening you will be paraphrasing what they're saying to you. Say what's in the beginning, middle, and end. And just because you're actually paraphrasing it doesn't mean you agree. Just remember that. So just actively listen. Right here it says the single most powerful tool for resolving conflict is listening to your partner, but really listening. Okay, not listening by the head. So what they say is don't listen to respond, because a lot of us listen to respond. We're already thinking of what we want to say next, you know. And an example,
like, you know, you're ready, like you're thinking, oh my god, I already know what I'm gonna say. Oh my god.
You're already thinking that in your head, and then you don't really actually are listening to the person that's trying to explain whatever you guys are debating or arguing about or fighting about. Okay, so number three, discuss one problem at a time. We tend to bring other situations and problems when we fight. So it's important that you address one thing at a time. And it's important that you do one thing in one day. Like it's too overwhelming when you try to really resolve a lot of things. One thing at a time. Because as you're able to fix one thing, it'll be easier to keep on fixing other things as stuff rolls by with whatever relationship you're in. So discuss one problem at a time. Don't be throwing things, like for example,
when you guys are arguing and then you're like, well, you did this, remember when you did that, you remember we did this.
Don't do that. Do not do that. Do the opposite of that. Okay. Number four, okay, use I language. This is really important. I'm sure a lot of clinicians already know about this. It's important part when you communicate with someone is making sure that you use I statements. I feel like, I think, you know, especially using think and feel is very important. You should never assume. That's part of one of the things that are. So by using I language, you're also showing responsibility. So if you say, I think this and this, or I know I did this and this, you have to always be using I language when you communicate. It shows that you can take responsibility as to whatever you guys are trying to debate or try to resolve. It also just helps communication flow a lot better, because what we tend to do is say, you did this, you did that, and that's something that we shouldn't be doing. We should be using I statements. I feel like, I think that, because it just makes the fighting a lot more fair and they don't feel like they're being attacked. So by using I language, it reduces the feeling of feeling attacked, and that's really important. That makes it easier for you guys not to keep going back and forth. Number 5, be specific about what's bothering you. We tend to forget what's really actually bothering you. We also tend to allow little things pile up, and something smaller will make a situation a lot worse. So really be specific about what you're bothering about. If you're fighting about something silly, explain to them what's really going on, because sometimes it's something a lot more deeper. It could be something a lot more serious that you haven't had the chance to talk to your partner about, or your friend or your family member, that just little things sparked up a big argument that's not even worth it. So really be specific about what's bothering you. Now, number 6, address problems as they occur. Trying to ignore relationship difficulties doesn't make them go away. Sitting on problems or allowing disappointments to build up over time also leads to explosions or minor incidents. Basically, that's exactly what I was trying to say in regards to, like, be specific about what's bothering you, because if you're not, this is gonna end up happening. So please address problems as they occur. You let them pile up, you will explode. That's number 6 number rule. I mean, it makes sense, you know. I really try to do this because I know for me, when I bottle stuff up, I explode over small things, very, very small things. But in reality, I know that something else is really bothering me deep down inside. So be aware of that. You can also pay attention to your kids. Sometimes your kids will cry over silly things, and it's always something deeper. So you kind of have to help them problem solve and say, hey, you know, what are you really sad about? Is there something else that you're upset about? And it helps them kind of rationalize and helps them be more in tune with their feelings, and it helps them verbalize, which reduces their anger and it helps them fight better. Rules to fighting fair. Another one is number 7, take a timeout when emotions are running high. When emotions are running high, it's just so hard to even do any of these rules when your emotions are really running high. It's hard to control it. You don't care. You will say anything and anything because you're running through adrenaline rush. So taking a time out is a really good idea. I know that's something that my family does with me. Whenever I start to yell and scream too much, they tell me you need to take a time out. And I listen, and I have to take a time. Sometimes I respond in a really rude way, but I appreciate my family doing that, because as they do that, it helps reinforce my ability to stop yelling and overreacting. Okay, so taking a time out. Okay, so the next one is, let me turn the page around. Number 8 is learn to let it go. Sometimes we don't know how to pick our battles, so we have to learn to let certain things go. The way they explain it here says, if they hurt you deeply, okay, it may take some time to let go of that injury, and it takes a risk on becoming close again. What they're trying to say is, if you don't not learn how to let it go, it's just gonna be a lot harder for you to let the person become closer to you again, because you're building that wall. So learning to letting it go.
Tell your partner how he or she disappointed you and what you need them to do or say in order for that injury to go away, and that's part of communicating. If your partner makes a sincere effort to respond to your request and to apologize for their hurtful behavior, then try to let it go.
So that's the thing, is that, like, if you already found that closure and you guys already communicated, but yet you still keep bringing it up, you're not letting it go. So that's basically what they're trying to say. You gotta learn to let it go. If you guys talked about it, you resolved it, let it go. Do not bring it in. Do not bring it into another car, because you guys already resolved it, okay? Number 9, take responsibility for your mistakes. That is really hard for a lot of people to do, especially if you're stubborn, and I get it. I get stubborn too. I sometimes respond in a certain way where I don't want to take responsibilities for my mistakes. It takes time sometimes, and then eventually I get over it, and then I really think about it, because I'm very empathetic and I like to see all kinds of different sides. So taking responsibility of your mistakes is really important, because it also shows the person that you're having a debate with or arguing or fighting with that you're able to take responsibility, and hopefully they can do the same. So model for them.
Right here it says, let's see what they say. It says the ability to reflect on your own behavior and to admit when you made a mistake is a fundamental tool in the arsenal of problem solving.
And that's totally true. That's one thing that I do with my clients all the time, is you have to take responsibility over your mistakes. You need to take accountability. Show whoever you're debating with that you can take accountability, so they can learn as well to take accountability and move forward, okay? Number 10, cut out all name calling and crude language. That is very difficult for us to do. It kind of falls in the lines of throwing jabs, you know, like throwing low blows. Do not use bad words. Don't say the B word, the S word, the T word, the D word. All the bad words that you could think of, even Spanish ones. Spanish ones, I know sometimes it becomes like a habit for us to be saying. It's part of our culture. But really trying not to use those type of words when you guys are debating or having a fight makes a huge difference. Right here, there's a couple of examples. This is jerk, slut. I didn't even think about that. Whore, prick, idiot, you're stupid. Don't be saying those type of stuff, because it doesn't help you resolve your guys' conflict.
Another one.
11, avoid exaggerating to make a point. This kind of like explains, this kind of means like stop being dramatic.
I'm guilty of doing this.
I'm very dramatic when I don't get what I want, and then like afterwards I feel super guilty. Like I'm just like, why was I so dramatic? But in reality is because I know I'm being dramatic. I'm really hurt. But really trying to avoid exaggerating, because you kind of lose what you're really upset about, and then the person doesn't really believe you. You have every right to feel upset and sad and everything, but if you fluff it, like it just loses it. Like it just makes the other person be upset. Like you're just exaggerating, and they're just focusing on the fact that you exaggerated, and you guys they're not even paying attention as to what you guys are trying to resolve. So it just totally throws your guys' debate off if you guys continue to exaggerate just to make a point. Number 12, no giving the silent treatment. Okay, yeah, so don't give the silent treatment. I completely understand when you need to take a time out. Taking a time out and a silent treatment is completely different, because doing a silent treatment is really just not talking to the person and not telling them why. Like it's really important that when you decide not to talk to a person or for you to have a timeout, is for you to let them know,
hey, I'm not speaking to you right now because I'm upset, so please give me space.
What they don't want you to do is them talking to you and you just not responding and saying why you're not talking to them. So giving a complete silent treatment, not explaining why, just being upset and avoiding, it is, do not do that. It will not make the debate, whatever you're trying to resolve, like I mentioned, work. It just ain't gonna work. Number 13, don't mind read. Don't assume. Basically, they're trying to say don't assume. A lot of us tend to assume. We tend to think that we know what the other person is feeling or thinking, and you know you can't do that. You can't think about how other person is thinking, or you think that the other person doesn't deserve to feel a certain way or think a certain way, and that's just wrong. We shouldn't be doing that. We need to be empathetic, and just don't think you know until you ask. Like you gotta ask. You can't mind reading. You can't assume. You can't say like, oh, you did this. It's the whole you thing. Like you did this and this. You're already assuming. You're already mind reading. Oh,
you think this is and this because of that, huh?
No, you're already mind reading. You can't be doing that, okay? And lastly, number 14, it says no making unfair threats. I am very guilty of this, okay? Basically what they're saying is when you're making threats of saying that you're going to leave, you're gonna get a divorce, you're gonna go tell your boss, or you're gonna tell their boss, they're gonna, you threaten them like, I'm gonna take all your savings,
I'm not gonna give you any more money.
Just threatening, and just being unfair, and it's just really damaging in such an emotional way. So really try your hardest to not make unfair threats, because it's just, you're losing the emotional security that you have with your partner or friend or family member when you do unfair threats, because if you're saying them and then you don't follow through, then your word is just not going to count anymore. Like people are just not going to believe your threats, whether you're being serious or not, whether you are going to do your threats or not in the future. They're just not going to believe you. So really try to avoid making unfair threats. This has helped me out a lot. I really hope that in some ways you guys can really apply this in your relationships that you have in your everyday life. These techniques you can use with your kid, your partner, your friend, your family member, your co-worker, even as a supervisor. These tactics will work tremendously if you're trying to put your point across, trying to resolve something, a conflict, problem solving. This is such great tools to use to just better your communication skills. I think this has helped me a lot to just kind of remind myself that, yeah, I shouldn't be doing this, and it doesn't help at all. And then it helps me get checked. All right, you guys, well, thank you so much for participating and following through the whole video so you can learn all these 14 rules that could be applied in whenever you have a conversation or fighting, debating with anyone, whether it's a friendship, as I mentioned, just any type of relationship. I really hope this was useful. Please do not forget to subscribe if you're new to my channel. If you are new to my channel is about mental health, and I really try to integrate my life, and I'm trying to model for you guys to see if I can help you guys in some ways. I do work for a nonprofit organization full-time, so I try to make videos on the side so that I can help out my youth, since I work one-on-one with them, and I tend to see that there's a lack of resources and a lack of information and motivation out there for, you know, kids that are really struggling with depression and anxiety, and, you know, all kinds of things with just mental health. I just feel like there's a huge rise within our community just overall, that now that our kids are going into our own society. And since I have my own son, and also, you know, it scares me to think that you know, social media really drives our kids' way of thinking, and why they're so depressed and have a lot of, you know, self-esteem issues. So I really hope that you guys can share this video, and like I mentioned, I really hope you guys learned something. And if you guys like this video, please give it a thumbs up. You can let me know if you guys really like this. I do have another worksheet that helps you communicate with someone a lot better. It's called The Floor. Do a little thumbs up if you guys want me to do that. And that goes into just learning how to communicate a lot more correctly. And anyway, so I'll talk to you guys in my next video. I really appreciate you guys for following me in this journey. I really hope that you guys learn from me, and hopefully I can learn from you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.